This playthrough is rated M for mature.
Greetings and salutations, viewers. Vauldemare back here with another episode of Our World Is Ended. Oh, man, it's getting pretty dark, folks. We've, at the beginning, we seemed pretty comedic and active, summoning giant robots trying to defeat the Obscenity Man, solving a puzzle based off an old friend's design with the power of friendship, getting through. And then we made it to Obscenity Man, but found out he's Deguchi, who was working for Lab 13 the whole time, and did something despicable, killed his partner in cold blood, and now it's on to us next. Will we be able to survive, or is this the end for Judgement 7? Let's find out today. Gotta say, but especially naughty. 4 out of 7 you saw it. That means it's guilty by association. Can't let you go now, can I? He's talking to us like we're some mischievous brats. If you don't have much physical power, we've concluded that you can't be a real threat to us. It's best to get rid of your kind early on. No! Owari-san's eyes are full of despair. I'm sorry, Sakai. I'm the one who... That fell. It's all my fault. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. So sorry. I had no idea this would happen. No, it's not your fault. I'm the one who... Right as he was saying something... A gunshot responds. Haruka-san's real body collapses. Just like Miyabi-san, Haruka-san's body turns into light and disappears. Haruka! Owari-san extends his hand to where Haruka-san's just was. The light starts vanishing as though representing his life. The hand touches nothing. All that remains of Haruka-san was now gone. No way! No! Haruka-san! Okay, who's next? I look at the meeting space in real life. The one with the gun was pointed next was Owari-san. ... He's not saying anything, but showing any resistance, he just stands in place, completely dumbfounded. And so, the figure pulls the trigger. Owari-san remains silent until the end. No way. This is just a bad dream, isn't it? Come on, tell me it is. Her sad voice pierces my ears. But alas, no one could say anything. The monitors told us everything there was to know. The figure in the real world moves. The gun is directed at Asano-san. No, don't shoot her! I don't mind dying. Shoot me instead. Please don't shoot, sis. With tears in her eyes, Yuna-san pleads with Deguchi. Yuna-san raises her voice at her. Please don't ever say that you don't mind dying. Sis. Sorry I couldn't protect you. Sorry such a hopeless sister. You're not hopeless at all. Yuna-san clings to Asano-san. Wait! Asano-san didn't see the picture! Let her go, please! I said guilt by association, didn't I? Another gunshot. The bullet pierces Asano-san's heart. And Asano-san's body turns to light and vanishes. No! Sis! Yuna-san wails and tries to embrace the light, but her hand passes right through and soon vanishes. Yuna-san! No! A moment later, a figure in the real world aims at Yuna-san and fires. Yuna-san vanishes while calling out for Asano-san. The only one left are me, Natsumi-san, and Tatiana. Tatiana is so scared that she can't even cry anymore. She's the next target. The figure aims the gun at the little girl. The picture makes me snap. What's the point of killing this child? Right? Why not just lock her away in Riken North? She won't get in the way of your plan. In fact, she can be useful. You really don't need to take her life. I mean, Tatiana's a genius. She's obedient, too. I'm sure she'll be a big help. Just don't kill her, please. In response to my desperate plea, Taguchi just shakes his head. Sorry, but I have to get rid of everyone who could leak even a little bit of info. The world of adults is impartial, you see. Why? A gunshot. The bullet sinks into Tatiana. Tatiana! My words don't reach her, and her petite body turns into light and vanishes. The meeting space is a sea of blood by now. The only ones left are me and Natsumi-san. The assassin aims at Natsumi-san next. Please, stop! Please, just stop! I can't take this anymore! So it's over. Natsumi-san whispers, makes it clear that she's lost all hope. You idiot! Don't give up! There must be something we could do! You're the idiot here. There's nothing we can do about this. She's right. Even I don't think we can get out of this. Still, I don't want to accept it. I wanted to believe in a miracle that can turn this all around. Reiji, thanks for everything. I guess I should consider myself lucky that I don't have to see you die. If this was all a game, I could restart next time. I'd be more honest with myself. Her words are cut short. The bullet pierces her. She disappears just like that. The particles of light floating around her vanish along with her very life. Ah! 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 All I could do is scream. Miyabi-san, Iruka-san, Awari-san, Asano-san, Yuno-san, Tatiana, and Natsumi-san. Everyone's gone now. Left for last, I curse my own powerlessness. Congratulations, Reiji-kun. You're the last survivor. Not for long, though. I see the figure aim at me. It's game over. He stands before me, proudly victorious. I glare back at him with all the hatred I can muster. I won't ever, I'll never forgive you! The gun is fired before I can hear his response. I see my own body start to bleed and collapse to the floor. There's no pain, only despair. A moment later, my consciousness is engulfed in darkness. I'll never forgive you! Nothing remained but pure hatred. My awareness of everything around me ends. The next moment I find myself in a space with nothing in it, except darkness, the most profound kind of black. I can't even see my own body. In fact, I can't even tell. I just don't see it, or if I actually lost it. I'm now in existence, and that's nothing but a consciousness. I see, so this is death. Strangely enough, I don't feel fear. There's no pain, anguish, or anything bodily. All I'm feeling is regret. We all got caught in Taguchi's trap, and all of us died while being unable to do anything about it. Our thoughtlessness and impudence led to the worst possible outcome. Why did it turn out like this? Why? We all just wanted to make video games. And now we're all dead. I wasn't able to save anyone. Everyone died right before my eyes. Miyabi-san, Awari-san, Iruka-san, Asano-san, Yuno-san, Tatiana, and Natsumi-san. We were all killed. I can't tell which way is up. Surrounded by black darkness, I feel like my self-admonishment alone can crush me. How long time has passed? An eternity? A moment? I can't tell. As I lose my sense of time, I start to see a light. It's coming closer by the moment. I soon realize that it's a girl. She approaches me like a shining angel about to take me to the afterlife. All is darkness, but she alone is lit up, as if there's a spotlight above her. She's wearing a pink cardigan on her shoulders, and I think I know her well. This is my memory database in Akashic. The voice was definitely Rainich's-san's, but her tone doesn't have much emotion in it. It feels like she's talking to herself. I try to call out to her, but I can't make a single sound. I'm only capable of seeing, listening, and thinking. That's why even though I don't see her face, I conclude that she really is Rina-san, and decide to just listen to her. Interlude. Her world has started. The life of a girl. Mine Ichinose. I was born as the second daughter to a family of guest house owners in Minabiboso. My first memories are that of a blue sky, sea, sky, and the smell of salt in the air. There was a beautiful beach right next to our home, and the wind would bring the smell of salt into the room the moment you opened the window. I was really aware of it back when I was a child, but my family's ghost house wasn't particularly prosperous. There weren't many guests there outside of the summer months, so I'm pretty sure I'm right. Mother and father were busy during summer, but there weren't many guests during winter, so they could play with me instead. That's why I ended up like winter more than summer. My sister was a few years older than me, but I think we were good sisters regardless. Not many things happened when I was a child. Looking back on it, it was probably the most peaceful and happiest years of my life. I realized I was different from everyone else when I started going to preschool. I had a memory which allowed me to remember everything I saw with absolute clarity, like an album or photos achieving every moment of my archiving every moment of my life. The one who noticed first was the lady in charge of the Sakura class. I noticed that the pictures on the wall were placed differently than the day before, and then I asked her about it. She said that they were blown away by the wind, so she had to put them back on again. She praised me for having a good memory, but to me it felt like I was just looking at what I saw yesterday. She told me that I can remember things well, so I started to look at it like that way, but I never really thought that it was anything impressive. But I always liked surprising adults, so I often told them about the many things I saw. Card numbers, phone numbers on the shops in town, the number of the tiles on the wall in the toilet, the walls the books are lined up in the shelf, the amount of steps, stripes on the clothes of guests that came to us. I never forgot what others never kept in their memories, despite seeing it in the same way I did. My college professor said that I had perfect memory. It's a power that lets me remember the faces of those I love and the scenery I find beautiful. I was glad to have it and considered a special present from God. But while he gave me the power to remember everything, he also gave me an illness that no one could cure, and I wasn't happy about that one. Before I started to go to elementary school, a famous doctor said that I wouldn't live into adulthood, and saw my mom and dad cry about it. Since then, I started to hate God. Most of my memories of my elementary school years are set in the hospital. The hospital became like my own home, so the patients coming in were like guests to me. I had nothing better to do, so I remembered their faces. There were men, women, young, old, children, and babies. Lots of people came to the hospital I was in, living. But I eventually realized that even I remembered their faces. They would either leave the hospital or die. That's why I eventually started resenting the sight of other people. And so I graduated elementary school without properly leaving the hospital. When I became old enough for middle school, I was moved to the hospital attached to Riken North. I left Minabibosa and started living in Hokkaido. The hospitals were the same everywhere. The only real difference was that the salty breeze and sound of waves that I loved so much weren't there anymore when I opened the window. I didn't get to go to middle school even once, but Riken North people said they'd let me try new treatments if I helped them out with their research. Back then, I seriously believed that I was actually saved from death. They were working on a so-called DSD Project. Lots of people in lab coats surrounded me and passionately spoke stuff that a middle schooler like me couldn't hope to understand. But I did understand that it was research focused on digitalizing personalities and memories, and that investigating my perfect memory would help them understand how human memories work. And if I was told that if I cooperated, they might find a way to help many people suffering from mental diseases. That's why, though the experiments were boring, they weren't hard. I got to see lots of movies, read lots of books, and listen to lots of music, all of which expanded my knowledge. Though I was just part of the experiment to help understand the human brain, I began dedicating my time in that isolated space to the acquisition of new information. The scientists connected my head to machines, and something called Akashic turned all I thought and knew into data. I was told that Akashic was a giant computer made for the purpose of creating virtual personalities that think the same way people do. They've been working on it since before I was ever born. I was doubtful that something like that was possible, but before I knew it, another me was born in Akashic's virtual world. She had my face, talked like me with a voice just like mine, and spoke like you'd expect me to say, and even things that only I knew. It was like another me living in the computer, all on its own, and I started to question which me was the real one. While the fake me within Akashic continued to mature and grow, the body of the real me continued to grow weaker because of the disease. That's why back then I always was keenly aware of my mortality. Suddenly became afraid of the idea that I could die tomorrow, and even my mind would be swallowed up by the computer. Before I knew it, I became terrified that I could simply disappear, replaced by a machine without a trace. I was frightened that the copy of my mind within the computer would persist long after my real self had died. This idea scared me more than that of death itself. Right as it became hard for me to tell which one is the real me, I met Judgement 7, my first friends, allies, comrades, colleagues, and the first group where I could really be myself. While most of my days were spent creeping slowly closer to death within the empty virtual realm of Akashic, there were the ones who kept me feeling alive. It all started when I was in Akashic and accidentally heard Tatiana having a voice chat with someone. I went on to find out that when Tatiana was in Riken North, Judgement sent a chatted with her by hacking the facility and opening up the line. Back then, I was like a part of Akashic, so I could access a variety of data and store it in the facility. And before I knew it, I became enthralled in listening into what they were talking about. There were casual chats, gaming and anime talks, fights over the most nonsensical things, and arguments. All in all, it seemed very unproductive, but wonderful. The days when they weren't voice chatting were really boring. Time went by slowly, and I couldn't relax for a moment. It didn't take long for me to want to be one of them. I feel like back then, I'd fallen in love with them as a group. Ding. When I found their homepage and saw the letters, looking for the seventh warrior, I felt like it was fated. My withering heart started beating so fast I felt like it was going to stop right then and there. Though I hated God before then, I wanted to hug him for giving me this miracle. And so Judgement 7 finally had 7 people. And this is Sakai-kun, the representative and leader of the group. He's an amazing programmer and a huge romantic. They all call him perverted, but I just think that he's a genius. Sakai is a hard worker who became a genius because he wanted to. What I found out after meeting him was that misunderstood geniuses were called perverts, and that's why I wanted to become someone who understood him. This is Aruka-kun. He's a very serious and funny person who made me laugh many times. They call him a man-child clinging to delusions you'd expect middle schoolers to have, but since I never went to middle school, he was a respectable senior to me, a Mr. Man-child of sorts. Everyone understood them, but the worlds he thinks up are amazing. He's a person who can make something up for his own sake, rather than someone else's. Out of all the people I know, he's the only one like that. This is Asano, an adorable, wonderful girl. She's really pure and always ready, seems to shine. If she's really as ending and unfortunate as people say, then I'm just a corpse. That's how I feel when I look at her. She's weaker than anyone else, yet she tries her hardest to be strongest. To me, that girl is an ideal. If I was a boy, I'm sure I would have fallen for her. This is Yuno, a cheerful and gentle girl, but she's so gentle to everyone else that she doesn't leave any gentleness for herself, and that makes me worry about her every now and then. I'd love it if she cherished herself a bit more. She's so considerate of everything around her that she's always prioritizing others over herself, while I'm just selfish. She's a lovable, genuine, amazing person. This is Tatiana. While Sakai-kun is a genius creating through hard work, Tatiana is a natural-born one. God loved her so much that the heavens bestowed upon her amazing talent, but as someone who knows that God is cruel, I feel sympathetic for her. No one can understand her, for she sees the world in a different way than anyone else. Just like how we all breathe and have hearts beat for us. She converts all the phenomenon she sees into numbers and processes them. She sees the world the way it really is, so much like the best of medicines. This world is really a bitter place for her. And then there's Natsumi. What a wonderful girl. I always liked the smile she gave me every now and then. She doesn't talk much and is really shy, but the words she speaks to me are as precious as gems. I've carved every single one of them into my memories. Everyone else became surprised when she joked around or laughed with me, but if you ask me, she's very honest. I consider her to be my best friend, and I feel like I could tell her anything. This is Judgment 7, the only real treasure I've ever had. The memories I never want to lose. I always hoped that I could be with them forever, but of course, that was just a pipe dream. I already knew that nothing lasts forever. After we completed Century Row Drive, I had started working on the next game. I realized I didn't have much time left. It might have been because I strained myself too much in order to develop the game. Back then, I was like an accessory attached to Akashic, like an empty soul shell. Even without the doctors telling me, I knew that I would die soon, since I could access my medical data from within Akashic. Upon finding out my state, my sister tried to call Judgment 7 to Hokkaido, but I was against that. I'm still a girl, after all. I didn't want to show my withering body to the ones I loved so much. Also, I'm sure it'd be a huge bother for them if I suddenly revealed that I was ill all this time. I didn't really want to bother them. I already knew that I could never meet them, so I felt that, like, asking for any more happiness would be impudent. And so I did my best to endure it. I was used to tolerating the pain of hopelessness, so there was nothing new here. Where am I? Am I alive? Or dead? Am I really me? Or am I the digitalized personality? When such things started to become vague, I found it out. Akashic, the thing projecting my memories, heart and soul, was actually a forbidden device for a really terrifying project. It was a project started by researching organizations so secret only a few in Riken North even knew about it. Lab 13. The real goal of the DSD Project wasn't medicine, improving people's welfare, or healing those suffering mental diseases. It's a project meant to give eternal life, immortality for a select set of individuals. It was forbidden research focused on digitalizing memories, personality, the shapeless things we call souls, to create eternal virtual life. Then they'd focus on influencing the real world from the virtual world to allow the elite among the elite to create a new world order where they eternally control all of mankind. My memories were being used for this absurd plan. What scared me the most was the fact that even if I died, they'd continue using the digitalized versions of me for the rest of eternity. My virtual personality would manage Akashic and become the core of the system they'd use for their project. The real me was just a sample to them. With the original Reina Ichinose being digitalized, their goal is already complete. That's why the real me was already useless to them. To them, I was like a toy box once they took all their toys out. All their focus was on the digital me now. That's why I, while I was still alive and had a will, had to let my personality data escape Akashic. I had to act quickly while I still had administrative power over the machine. I probably didn't have much time left. That's why I started mixing bits of my virtual self into our communications with Sakai-kun and the others to store it in Judgment 7 server. I made sure to send only a little bit at a time so that Lab 17 didn't notice, to store it all in the safest place in the world. As long as I was alive, the parts of the virtual personality that vanished could be replaced with myself. But when I died, the data still stored in Akashic would be unable to function properly. That meant that my death would set their project back to square one. It was the only method of stopping them that I could really think of. Thus came December 23rd, 2016. Without even getting to see Christmas or Christmas Eve, both the real me and the virtual world passed away. Sorry that I couldn't keep my promise to be there for the Christmas party. Suddenly, her somewhat monotone voice becomes emotional. With my death, some functions of Akashic died as well, and I thought it would be all over with just that. And yet, why did it turn out like this? Sorry for getting you all involved, but now it should be over for real, and something else will begin. Don't worry, your world hasn't ended yet. Following that line, my world was engulfed by darkness once again. Chapter 10. Our world has rested. Start from continued. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in Chapter 10.